到三步去哪里？大家好，我是力鱼。
大家好，我是一匙。
大家好，我是王群。
我们今天要去哪里？
我们今天有一个很特别的来宾，是来自英国的来宾。那所以我们这一集其实很特别，是我们待会全部都会用英文来沟通。
对，
然后待会就会听不到我跟力鱼的声音了。
对，因为我们是 free rider。
OK， 然后我们今天有来宾有Leticia。
嗨，大家好，我是之前几集来过的 Leticia。
对。
And we have Dom.
Hello.
And
Natasha.
and we have and 你可以开始。
So today we're gonna talk about the topic, just like the difference between Taiwan and the UK studying, just how do the students choose their major, and also how do they find their future job when they are studying.
Okay, really interesting. I mean, Tash, do you want to field that one first, or how you found it? You had a very different journey to me when you were growing up, because me and Tash have known each other, just for a bit of context, for many, many years. We're in a relationship. We've been married now. Got married during COVID, and we've been dating for about 15 years. So we're like high school sweethearts, basically. And we've had very different journeys, both in the UK, which is good because it will show you the contrast between, how different people in the UK choose their majors, choose their future job, and that sort of thing. So if Tash goes first, she's a bit of different story to me, so I'll let her lead.
I suppose in the UK, actually, there's not a lot of emphasis on choosing your career from a young age. In terms of you go through school and you have to do sort of core subjects, so you have to stick to science, English, maths, and then there's a little bit of options around the humanities. Then you sort of go into college and there's a few sort of careers talks, and then a little bit of more emphasis, and people get a little more stressed about what they're going to do sort of longer term. But unless you're sort of inspired at that stage by either your parents or maybe a careers talk, you could actually probably just go on to university without any clue of what you want to do, and just take a subject that you enjoy, maybe not with an emphasis of what you're going to do sort of longer term with that. For me, that was a little different. So my parents were a little more pushy than you, maybe conventional English parents. And from a sort of a young age during high school, my dad really did want me to be a doctor. So he sort of forced me to study a lot more maybe than sort of normal parents would. And then, made me do a lot of sort of additional activities, like extracurricular hobbies, like lots of swimming and kickboxing and sort of music playing, to make my CV look a lot better and for my applications to medical school. And that's how I sort of got into that, really. So from a young age, I was sort of directed into that career path. And then I guess, I noticed you called it a major, and I guess we don't really call it sort of major and minor subjects, really. You go to university and you pick your subjects, and it's usually one subject. There are a few universities which are going over to more American style and picking sort of dual degrees, but still we wouldn't really call it major and minor. It's sort of one core subject that you study. So I suppose in British culture, I guess there's not a lot of emphasis on picking the specific career. You could probably finish your entire study and still not know what you want to do, and just get a job, actually. Yeah,
which funnily enough speaks to my experience, to be completely honest with you. So I had a different experience to Tash. I was speaking to NU a bit earlier about this, and Tasha had almost like Taiwanese parents, it sounds like, from what the common experience is like. They were very pushing her, directing her towards doing something. From my childhood, my father was a solicitor, and my mother was a nurse, and they just wanted me to kind of go through schooling and kind of experience as much as I possibly could without really pushing me down one career path in particular. So I was kind of allowed the freedom to kind of do whatever I wanted, really. I ended up pursuing a legal degree as kind of my major, as it were, like doing air quotes for a podcast, which isn't really isn't really handy for your listeners. But I ended up going down the legal route just because it was something my father had done, and it just seemed like an okay option to do. And I could sit there and read for hours on end, which is kind of key with a law degree, to be honest with you. But when I finished my degree, I completely just, in terms of picking a job, I just did the first thing that came along. the first thing that would get me money, allow me to buy a house, and allow me to, get my future started, to be honest with you. So I just went into sales to do a little bit of business, and did okay at that for a while, funded Tash through the remainder of her degree, and now she's returning the favour, funding me through my study. So kind of a little introduction to us both, really, I suppose.
Yeah, and I suppose a more specific answer to your question then is in summary, I suppose in the UK we would go and study what we enjoy more than focus on the career aspect.
That's a good point, yeah.
Yeah.
那我先为
Yeah.
Tasha 做总结，就是刚刚听到他就是在求学路上，其实他的父母比较像是台湾的父母，然后是比较传统，然后也希望他就是往医生这条路走，所以在求学的时候，他父母就会让他去做很多事情，然后累积经验，让他的履历表上看起来就是比较丰富。听起来是刚好他也对这条路也不排斥，所以他就继续往这条路前进。所以他也认为他的父母是属于英国家庭里面比较传统的那一派。那要不要帮那个这样做总结？
就是比较我们典型思想上西方，或是就是可能跟亚洲文化比较不一样，是比较开放，是让他去尝试去想说去探索他自己有兴趣的事情。那这里他也是因为我们前面之前有聊过天，他也有提到，就是他们两个算是即便是同一个国家，但是也反映了完全不一样的一些教育背景跟文化一些经验。对，我觉得这也是我们今天会想要找他们来聊聊的一个契机跟原因的。
因为我觉得好像台湾大部分的人还都是要么是父母推荐，要么好像都会有那种先以未来出路好的工作的科系为主。
Yeah, we just start thinking about the difference between here and the UK because we noticed that most of the students and the children in here, if they want to pick up one major in their university, they gonna pick up like more
It's like a job oriented.
job oriented major, or I don't know how to describe more 中文会是怎么样比较一个
你说那种什么名校的那个
it's more reputation about this career. So just like doctor, lawyer, or some teacher is quite of like high reputation job in Taiwan. So most of the parents will recommend our children to do this kind of job first. Yeah. And it's quite surprising that I heard Teresa, you said your parents like want you to do the doctor in the future, but I just like heard of somebody talk about the doctor in the UK is quite hard and quite intense because the working hours and the pay is quite not balanced.
Yeah. Actually, it's not just that, it's the whole process of getting in. You have to have top grades to get into medical school. It's very oversubscribed, lots and lots of applications. So, for instance, my medical school had 3,500 applications for 100 places. So you have to really, really build up your CV from a young age to make sure you could get in. And then throughout medical school, actually, the work was hard. So when you do get into being a doctor, you've already worked very, very hard. So you're quite used to it. And the pay is not amazing. It's not. Especially when you're a young doctor. But as you get into sort of the idea is that you get onto a training program to become a consultant, because when you're a consultant, you do get paid well. So I suppose for doctors, there's actually that vision that in the future you are going to be paid quite well eventually. So you work hard to get there.
Yeah, and I think there's always careers in society that are leaned on by people that are in power, like governments, for example. So being a doctor or being a social worker is something that you have a passion for. You have a passion for wanting to help people and wanting to make a real difference. So normally, because these people are quite, emotionally sensitive, they want to make a difference, they're working for a higher goal. Unfortunately, they'll do it for less money because it's something they're drawn towards, they gravitate towards it. And so that's exploited in many instances, just I'm guessing in Taiwan as it is in the UK.
And that's why Dom didn't do it, you know.
Yeah, I was like, nah, thank you. Give me money, please.
就是刚刚我提到说，因为英国现在对刚出来的医生，其实那个薪水跟他们工作的那个时数，其实是比台湾更不友善，所以其实我蛮就是意外，就是 Trasha 他的父母会推荐他去做医生这个行业，但他也有提到说，医生这一个职业是从以前就要让自己的履历保持得很漂亮，然后就要一直很努力，直到成为医生这一块，所以其实这是一个需要很有热忱的一个职业，就像社会工作者一样，就是薪水已经不是重点了，是你对帮助人，对你去对帮助人是，对才是你这个对这份工作的热情跟重点。
I'm wonder like how you get or find your patient on social work or be a doctor on your experience.
How's your experience of being Tash's experience as being a doctor? Did you say? Sorry.
Yeah, and you just how you get your patient for do a word like be a doctor.
Patience.
Yeah.
Patience.
Yeah.
Passion. My passion. Oh, how did I get my passion? I think, well, honestly, I think I was driven into the career by my dad. So I sort of, there wasn't, actually my passion came later, but so when I was growing up, as I was sort of told you, my father sort of directed me into being a doctor. And it was only during medical school, actually, when I really started to enjoy it. I actually developed rheumatoid arthritis, which is the painful joint inflammation, which I was telling you about, the inflammatory arthritis, which made me passionate about it because I was suffering with it anyway, I could understand how the patients were feeling, very, so that's where I got my passion from for rheumatology. So actually, I wasn't passionate about it until actually I was during medical school when I developed the inflammatory arthritis. Yeah. I think that's a problem actually for a lot of doctors in medical school, because you hear about doctors who are a bit unempathetic. They don't, which means they don't care that much, who aren't very patient with their patients, and I think it's actually because they go in it more for the prestige and more because their families have pushed them into it rather than actually wanting to do it themselves. And that's actually quite common.
It's very common. I mean, obviously, living in a house with Tash, she'll come home and tell me stories about these people she's worked with, and their interpersonal skills are lacking because they don't care to that higher level that somebody would if they had a true passion or a calling towards something. And I think that's a big issue with parents shoehorning their children into certain career paths. You end up doing something that's not the right fit for you. If you are a sociopathic narcissist or something like that, you should probably be a CEO or a businessman at a bank. You shouldn't be trying to treat people in a hospital ward, because that requires different skills. But if your parents are setting your future career path, how do you know that's the right path for you? That's just the right path for them, their idea is of a good career path for you. And so, yeah, I think it's different people should be doing different jobs. That's why we've got so many jobs in society. But if you're getting pushed into certain jobs, it might not be right for you.
And I think that's why, largely in British culture, we've moved away from pushing children into certain careers, because I think people recognise that actually pushing someone into something isn't necessarily right for them, and it's going to just, they're not going to enjoy what they do, and maybe change their career later on. So I think it's that's why parents just let children sort of make their own way, make their own mistakes. And at the end of the day, we spoke about different careers like law and social work. And actually, if you finish a degree and realise you did want to go into a career like that, you can do conversion courses. So it's just a 1-year top-up course, and you can go into a different career path. So even if you did, say, a degree in history because you loved history, and then you wanted to be a lawyer, you could do a conversion course to be a lawyer.
It's a really good system we've got in the UK, those conversion courses. I don't know if you've got something here I'd be interested to find out, to be honest with you. But just to go back to what Tash was saying about like how if you're pushed into something you can be unhappy, I mean it's a really serious problem. You hear stories about people in med school who literally kill themselves because they've been pushed there for years and years and years, and as Tash said, it's a hard road to get into med school, and so they finally reach the promised land. They're into med school, their parents are proud, and then they're working at it and they think, oh my god, I'm miserable. Is this what I've worked all these years for?
Yeah.
And so that's where you end up with these terrible stories of people who can't cope anymore.
Yeah. I think the most important thing is that if you do the thing you like and you enjoy, you just feel like you do it for yourself, not for the others. So you can find a passion in your job, in your future. I think, I heard of like the conversion thing because I know some of my course mates in doing music therapy now, like some of them are doing music when they study undergrad, so like do like psychology for the conversion and like go into our course. So it just kind of like combine two of the professional in one course. So maybe we could talk about conversion later, but I don't want to like make your talk a little bit summary.
摘要式的说，就是刚刚其实他们有提到关于就是如何找到自己的热情这件事情。那这件事情其实我们中间也提到蛮多是关于就是如果你做一些可能你自己可能没有真的很有想法，或是有些事情是父母他们可能以他们自己的角度或他们的视况去觉得比较期望你去做什么事情，然后让你去做的时候，其实这个过程中可能会遇到很多是压力，或是你可能在这过程中你没有感到很愉快的时候，其实这件事情也不是一个非常健康的事情。然后在现阶段，我觉得也算是一个回归到其实我们在台湾社会下也蛮多提到在高教情况的那种就是高自杀率这件事情，就是很多那种高压的学习的强迫跟要求吧。也造成蛮多人可能在这个现在这个环境底下，他可能更不知道自己做什么，然后所以真的去做自己喜欢的事情，然后你自然而然就会在过程中找到自己的渴望跟你的热情所在，这是刚刚我们在对话中他们有分享到的点。
We quite wondering about like how does the conversion course work? Because we don't have like kind of course in Taiwan.
Yeah, so we have kind of a similar situation in the UK, really. I mean, I can speak for one in law because that's the one I'm aware of because I did a law undergraduate degree and obviously I was mixing with people in the law school who were on this conversion course. So it used to be called the GDL or Graduate Diploma in Law, but it's probably changed its name now. We're always changing the names of our courses. But basically it's just a quick, very difficult, very intense conversion course, but it's got to be because it's making your degree a qualifying law degree. So to practice law in the UK, you need what's called an LLB, which is a qualifying law degree. From that point, you then decide what stream you're going to go down. Are you going to become a barrister or are you going to become a solicitor? So I don't know whether you've seen like UK court dramas, but you've got the barristers there in their wigs and their gowns and that sort of thing. Still now, yeah, still now. So that's one path you can go down, and then you've got the solicitor path as well. So that conversion course sits before that point, so it's quite early in the process really. So that's when your undergraduate degree is done. You can then do your conversion course if you've done it in a different subject. But you need to hit all the key competencies in all the areas of law that people cover in their undergraduate degree, I believe. But again, they might have changed it since I was studying all those years ago.
I suppose the way that people see it is actually you learn a lot of part of an undergraduate degree is learning the research skills and learning all those additional things like essay writing, where you're going to get your knowledge from, ability to read and study. So really all that the conversion courses are doing are just teaching you the core facts and knowledge that you need to do and not all those additional skills that you've already learned as part of your undergraduate degree, and that's why they work.
That's a much better summary than me, to be honest with you. Yeah, listen to her, not me. Yes, it's just giving you the facts that are specialist to your industry, because you've already got, the understanding is that by getting a degree in the UK, you've got all the experience that you need, all the learning you need to be able to differentiate yourself into any career path that you so choose, especially if you've done well in that degree. So what these conversion courses do is just make sure you've got the key facts that you need to thrive in the industry that's going to make you happy.
Oh, so it sounds like if you got the conversion, so you can get something you didn't attend it in undergraduate. Like if I do psychology in my undergrad, undergraduate, but I want to study the law
Yep.
psychology, so I can do the law conversion.
Yeah.
And that will make your your degree, sorry, a qualifying law degree. And there's not a massive focus really, because so my PhD that I'm doing right now is like criminology and psychology combined. But as I say, my degree was in law, my master's was in law. So they know I've got the skills to do research, to sit down and do reading for a time, and they've said, okay, now we're just gonna shove you into this area you've got no experience in. Good luck. So yeah.
It's even worse if you're a doctor, actually, because they just assume you've got knowledge to do everything, teaching, research. You don't have to do additional courses or learning. You just have to do it. Yeah.
Like it sounds really good. Like it have some kind of like conversion to let you like grab the points in this part of the major. 那
你稍微总结一下，我们就时间差不多。
好。So this gonna be the last part of our podcast.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay.
So I'm gonna make it a quick summary for the conversion. Conversion 它我觉得它比较像是衔接教程，它有点像是说，如果你想要在你的硕士转换跑道的时候，那在英国就会有一个这样子的衔接教程，让你去学习一些在大学时候比较重点的课程，像是如果你是像让他说他之前是法律系的，他的大学跟硕士都是法律，但他现在就转到心理跟犯罪心理，那就会有一个人就推荐他说，那你去上这个课程就可以学到一些跟心理相关的知识这样子。那其实听起来是这个教程可以帮助他们未来的那个硕士或是博士的衔接这样子。
I want to ask one question about because we service for the adult 不是 adult 是那个青少年teenagers if they want to find their passion how to tell them or how to advise about this. Yeah.
Especially under this kind of system.
Yeah, because the students in Taiwan have to have many tests and they need to read a lot of book or the knowledge. But the parents or teachers not very encourage them to find their interest. Yeah,
like what they gravitate towards. Yeah, it's a really difficult problem. I mean, I'll give what I think, and then obviously Tash, if you want to chip in after. And I'll be interested to hear what your opinions are on this yourselves. Really, obviously coming from the system, it'd be quite interesting. Because I think as a teenager, you're going through life at such a rapid pace. There's such a focus on pushing you through the system and making you achieve these high grades and do this. And I mentioned to Enya earlier, a lot of that comes from a place of love from a parent. They obviously want the best for their child, and that's why they're putting all this pressure on them. It's because there's an anxiety. They want them to be successful in the future. But that detriment to the child is that, or the teenager, sorry, is that they might not be able to have all the experiences that they need to find that passion. Because for me, that's how you find your passion, really. It's living a complete life. It's doing a number of different things, trying things, sampling as many things as you possibly can, because you never know. If you never pick up a guitar, how are you to know you won't be the next Prince or Jimi Hendrix? You'll never find out. And the world, not only you miss out, but the world misses out on that as well. Because when you find somebody who has a true passion, you can tell. You speak to that person and you can see their eyes light up. You can get a feeling for them that they're doing something that makes them complete and makes them very, very happy. And the output, the things they actually produce, is so much better than somebody who is just doing a 9 to 5 or punching in and just attending their day job. But it's a really difficult question and a really good question. How do you find your passion? For me, it'd just be trying to do as many things as you possibly can. And how you do that when you're getting pressures put on you by parents, by family, it would take a greater man than me to give a concrete answer there. But for me, it would just be to try and do as many different things as you can, and try and find support networks and other people around you that are going to help you find these things, because most of what we find in life tends to come from the people you meet ultimately, and you learn and you pick things up. Maybe your friend likes a band that you've never heard of before, and now, oh my God, they're the best thing ever, and I never would have heard them if it wasn't for my friend. So I think it'd just be like meeting people, doing new things, and putting yourself out there, which takes courage a lot of the time, especially if you're going to be fighting against pressures from your elders or from different people. But it's just being brave and going out and doing those things. So very long. You'll notice I give very long, convoluted answers, so I do apologise. But that's my opinion there. And again, Tash, to provide a pithy and perfect summary that will be far better than mine.
No, I fully agree with you. I think it's important just to try lots of different things, and when you're in school, recognising what you do enjoy. I think actually people don't follow the passion more out of the issues that you were maybe raising, is that you're too scared to tell your parents or your elders, actually, I want to do music because that's what I enjoy. I enjoy playing the guitar, and that's what I want to do. Could you imagine telling your parents, no, I don't want to go to university to do this. I just want to play in a band. Yeah, so it's about just having that courage to express yourself.
Yeah. See, much better and more elegant summary, I told you.
In my experience, well, when I was a child, maybe a lot of parents will tell you that you can learning piano and you can learning guitar when you are a child, and they will think, oh, my child was so well, he can play piano and he can play guitar. But when we growing be a teenager, and we need to face to choose when we want to playing guitar or maybe studying a university. Most of the parents will expect you to choose the university.
Yes.
Yeah, and you will say you cannot play guitar to earn money. But college you can. You can find a job. Yeah.
No, that makes sense, because I think, like, especially in modern day society, we've definitely gone down the path of like specialization. So you have to pick one thing or one job and be amazing at it, and got to be the best in that field and do everything you can there. We've kind of lost the idea of like the Renaissance man, which is like, your Leonardo da Vinci's, your kind of savants who can do multiple different jobs and fields and make a difference in every single one and push the envelope onwards. And I think there has to be an allowance for that, and you have to allow for that freedom, because by forcing you to say, pick one thing, pick piano or pick a guitar, you might be amazing at both of those things, and one might inform the other. You may be playing piano one day and be completely inspired to write a song on your guitar that is the next most amazing song ever. You don't know. But by closing that door and being forced to close that door by people who are advising you to try and protect and help you, you could be limited. And so I think it's having that, again, bravery to stand up and say, like, no, I love this. I love both of these things. And both of these things might be useful in the future, and I'm going to keep doing it. Yeah. I mean, do you all have similar experiences where you've had things that you've like loved or been pushed into certain directions?
Yeah, I fully agree with you. Just like I think most of the children in Taiwan have the similar experience. Just like if we entered in the secondary school, we started to have to abandon some interests we used to have. Like I abandoned the dance I started to learn when I was a child, but I have to focus on my academic works. So it's just quite a shame about like parents in Taiwan. Most of the parents, I won't say the parents.
You can never say everything, can you? You can never say everybody's the same.
Just like, I think it's just more tend to make the Taiwanese parent to let their children to give up some interests they are trying and working on, and put their focus on the academic work. It's quite a loss, I think.
Yeah, 100%, because you could be out of love cutting away parts of somebody's soul. You could be like, that could be something that makes somebody feel fulfilled and deeply, deeply happy. And by trying to help them, you're just making them cut little pieces off that until you get a robotic kernel that's really good at maths or really good at engineering. but can't dance or can't appreciate art or can't, play an instrument.
I have a question actually. So, do you think in the next generation things will change?
Good question.
I think our generation have the same points, but I think if we are the parents and our children maybe don't know
What can they do?
What can they do? Yeah. I think the freedom need the rules. But if there are no rules and they don't know what is freedom. Yeah.
I mean, Tasha's an example of that point working. It's somebody that was pushed into a field and then found that they loved it after, a couple of years of being there.
So actually, I don't necessarily disagree with the way that happens. I think a lot of people in the UK, one thing we suffer with is, we've had a lot of freedom. People feel lost. They don't know what makes them happy. They don't know what to do. There's too many options. There's graduate schemes. What do they pick? And actually, if you've had a lot of pushing from a young age, direction given to you, you know what you're going to do. So in a way, that makes you a little more happier because you already have a plan in mind.
And also the competitiveness of everything doesn't help at the moment. Obviously, we're a competitive species, so everyone's trying to outdo everybody else, and we're all competing for the same amount of jobs, aren't we, fundamentally? And in the UK, and I know you've got a very high degree rate here, like, so many people have degrees now, so if you're all applying for a job and everybody's got a degree, what makes you special? What's going to make that person pick you out of the next person? So there's always that competition to do more and do more and do more and do more. And if your parents, if you're up against somebody who's been pushing, if I'm up against Leticia, who's been, building her CV from age 12 to make it the best CV possible, and I've just kind of, coasted through life in the way that I do, I know who the recruiter's going to pick, unless I can meet and charm them in some miraculous way, which is a big ask. So I suppose one thing I'd say is that, as with any difficult topic, which this is definitely a difficult topic, there's no right or wrong answer. I think there's flavours. Sometimes it's going to work. Sometimes you're going to end up with a Tash who's been pushed and pushed and pushed and loves her job. And sometimes you're going to end up with somebody who is pushed and pushed and pushed and is the most miserable, sad person you've ever met in your life. But I'd like to think, because I'm an optimist, there's more Tashas than not. There's more people that can find their passion somehow. Yeah.
就是刚刚从你们提问说如何帮助青少年找到热情这一点，那这样他有说就是不断的去尝试，然后不要局限在一个框架里面，让自己去尝试更多可能性，就是可以找到新的热情的地方。那刚刚也有问到是下个世代会不会改变这一点？那丽宇有说他觉得，你觉得？
我觉得下一代可能会因为太多选择跟自由，反而不知道自己喜欢的是什么，会迷失方向。
我们好像都觉得，如果我们是家长的话，就会愿意给他们更多的尝试的空间，然后会变得就是像丽宇说的那种状况。
那我觉得最后不论是我们这个世代愿意让下个世代尝试更多，或者是怎么样的，那不论如何，就是愿意让他们去尝试，或者是保持自己的开放性，以及愿意尝试新的事物的心，就我觉得都是好的，对。
It's our final card.
Oh.
So you can pick one.
Any card.
Yeah.
Okay. Is this like a magic trick?
Or any word you like.
Yeah, I have a word.
And can read that sentence.
Okay, so my energy is radiant and peaceful today. I can show my anger in a constructive way.
That's a good card for
Yeah.
you. She's always very angry.
You do think I'm angry a lot, don't you?
How do you feel to read the sentence on the card?
I think actually, I agree with it. Actually, I do think I do feel very at peace today. And I suppose when you say anger, I suppose interpret that, sort of wrap it in the same ball as sort of stress and sort of negative energy. So I suppose in my life it's very stressful, and I think I do have that a lot, which probably makes me a bit moody towards Dom. But I think I've had, I started the day with a lovely hike, which was really nice, and just being in nature. Then I've met a lot of really nice people, all the professors. So yeah, I do feel peaceful today, and I think my stress levels are very low.
She's very good at channeling anger. I'll say that much. It's like a superpower.
How about that?
Oh, okay, cool. That one might be speaking to me, but I don't know whether Tasha's influenced it, so I'll get a cue on. Oh dear. Is this good or bad? I give up my resistance to life. I give up my resistance to life. So I suppose really that is just accepting things that happen to you. So probably accepting it with like a energy, maybe like a passive energy, like you give up trying to fight things and really combat things you can't change, which is kind of a big part about how I actually do try and live. I try to like not sweat the small stuff. If there's something happening in my life that I have no power to impact or influence, I'll try my best to not worry about it, not stress about it. And I say try my best because, some things you cannot help but stress about ultimately, even if you can't affect them. So I don't know whether I have gave up yet, but in a positive way, I try to give up my resistance to things that I can't change.
Yeah. Thank you for coming today.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we got more experience about the culture difference in Taiwan and UK. And I hope our listener audience, they could get more ideas about how they choose their major in university or college, and more about their career in life, instead of life. Thank you so much.
No, thank you very much for having us. And we do want to stress we don't speak for the whole of the UK. We're not a mouthpiece for the nation. But we hope that we've given you a little insight into how, people have had two very different childhoods and different experiences through life have kind of come through. And I don't know, at 28, still got a lot more to go. But thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
好，我们终于可以讲中文了。
你刚刚也有讲中文。
我刚刚很认真的听，我刚刚超级认真听，但我就是没有办法讲出什么所以然。但我觉得我大概有听懂70%。对，我大概听懂70%。
我们就稍微回顾一下刚才到底聊了一些什么好了。那我们请今天主持人Leticia。今天已经换主持人了，我们那个已经退位了。
对，就是 Leticia 是王群的翻译。
对，没有，他今天是代理主持人，我根本没有讲话，他根本不用翻译。对，我根本用不到翻译。
你在旁边讲说，你先讲一下这一个。
你先讲一下。
没有，我那个控制他说你什么时候主持该怎么走，基本上这是他的节目。今天这一集那个特别就是
你是导播，
该讲话这样。
Q 的3、2、1这样。
对，3、2、1，好，那我们现在 Q 一次，3、2、1，好。
嗨，我今天是代理主持人。
从特邀嘉宾变代理主持人。
对，我以为我今天只是来翻个译。
没有，你的那个能力把你放在代理，那个只放在翻译太浪费了。
就是有点就是突然，但是我也不知道要讲多少。
然后你就稍微讲一下我们刚才讨论了什么，你有印象的？
一开始问的问题是什么？
那不然我来好了。我们一开始是我们今天主题主要是想要找他们来聊有关于台湾跟英国在选择就学的科系跟选择就业的方向上有没有不太一样。那我们刚开始其实有问到他们两个的经验嘛。然后Tasha有说他的经验其实就跟台湾的那些小孩子差不多，就是父母会给你很多的建议，然后帮你安排你未来要走什么地方，所以他就是按照他爸爸的建议，就一路走到医生这个职位。
对。
然后，但我们就比较偏向我们想象中那种欧美国家会有的那种，就是他去尝试，然后去选择他自己有兴趣、有热忱的方向这样子。然后我们后面有来问到说有关于怎么找到热忱，自己有热忱的这一个方向上。那其实我们有提到，就是多去尝试这一点。那多去尝试，你才有可能接触到你有兴趣的东西。你要实际去做过，你才知道哪些东西是那种会触动到你，会让你一直想继续做下去的事情。然后我们有顺着这个讨论一下，就是在台湾好像做这类型的尝试反而比较不太容易，因为父母就会觉得说你应该做好你的课业啊，然后你应该去 可能就真的是以你的课业为重，不应该以你的兴趣为重。所以小朋友阶段还好，但是到了青少年阶段就会有这样的问题。对，然后所以丽宇就有顺着问说，那如何去引导青少年去那个找到这个部分？
对。
然后邓好像是有回应说，课业跟兴趣这个不应该是做抉择，它应该是要有一个并行的感觉，就是它两边应该是可以做一个都有这样子。对。不过我在想，这个概念好像在目前的台湾的社会来讲，好像还很难去接受嘛，因为如果你今天考试考不好，你没有一个好的成绩的时候，父母还是会觉得说，那你应该去舍弃掉你的兴趣，而去做你该做的事情，也是像这样子，对啊。然后我们有提到，就是说关于多去尝试这一点。那在台湾跟英国目前的现状来讲，那Leticia还是想问说，这些概念对我们的下一代，假设我们现在成为父母的话，对我们下一代会不会有改变？那其实这个丽宇前几集好像有回应过说，那确实可能会有改变。那如果我们就是不想要成为像上一代那样的家长，那我们可能就会真的倾向于说，那
给更多自由，
对，更多自由，你去更多尝试去做你想做的事情，没有一个正确答案。然后接下来其实也蛮有趣的，他就回应说，他现在那边其实也蛮多，对，就蛮多人都很有这种要追求自由的感觉，但是自由相对应的其实就是一个比较没有架构的一个社会。那也不能说没有架构的社会，就是在于选择目标上面，你会比较没有一个方向性，没有一个架构，太多选择的状况下，你反而会不知道你到底要的是什么。对，那如何在这两个之中取得一些平衡，那这个是真的是每个文化环境都需要面对的课题啊。对，好吧，那今天听完就是他们讲的，那大家有什么想法吗？
我的想法就是，我觉得，他们的讲的内容跟我们的观念跟我们的想法，我觉得很多都很雷同。对，然后我觉得有很多的相似性，就是我觉得有个很有趣的是，包含他提到就是父母的想法，其实会影响到小孩是不是有办法去为自己的就是去探索自己的兴趣什么的。所以我觉得这个东西也很回应到就是我们的身上，就是文化虽然我们不同，但是在这件事情上面也有一些蛮相似的地方。这样，但我觉得另外一个特别就是在跨学科的，就是刚刚那个大文提到那个，还有一个类似一个转衔的课程，这对台湾来说似乎不太。就是如果说我读社工，我不想读，我要读其他系，你就要各凭本事的这种，就是没有那个所谓的就是一些
转型课程这样。
然后台湾可能并不鼓励吗？还是就是你真的要很聪明才有办法去同时跨到很多的学科上这样？我觉得这个就是蛮有趣的，就是我们在跨科的门槛很高。
我刚好像漏掉这一块，他其实就讲说他们在选择方向的时候是有一些课程会协助他们做这件事情。对，因为其实像我们三个都是社工界社工嘛，就没有什么差别。但是对于那个邓来讲，他是从法律再接到
犯罪心理，
对犯罪心理，那这个之间其实是有一些门槛上去。那好像国外就会比较有鼓励你去做这样不同的跑道转换，相对于台湾来讲，对吧？因为像Leticia之前也有转换过的经验，其实父母好像一般来讲都会觉得说，你是不是念不好，你想要换？然后或者你都已经念成这样了，你现在要换或什么之类的，感觉会有点前功尽弃的这种感觉。
爸妈会觉得你为什么这边沾一下，那边沾一下，
对，就会
觉得你没有
定
性，没定性。我是被这样被念过。
哦，你也这样被念过？
对啊，就只是因为我之前做失智症，然后跑到做长辈，又跑去做其他的领域，他就觉得我没有定性。
领域换就
对他觉得我就没定性。
对啊，所以好像在台湾比较不太鼓励你去多做尝试啊，认为你要往一个方向决定了，你就继续做，继续发展。所以就这个也是那个台湾跟英国还蛮不太一样的地方。你有想补充吗？
就听起来好像台湾的职业发展比较偏向是希望你往单一专业化发展，但是英国那边好像蛮鼓励，就是你先多尝试自己有兴趣的，然后以及你会的那叫什么有能力的，那你这样子看可不可以将两个结合，把它发挥到最大？我觉得是就在这点上，我觉得会比较不一样。 对，那个一开始的想法，以及父母会如何鼓励小孩的那方向，我觉得应该是这方面会比较不一样。
对啊，因为我们有提到说，在台湾的学生在选择就业、就学的方向，都会比较偏向就业嘛，就业导向。我认为就是这个科系以后有好的工作，然后或是这个科系念出来，就是大家会觉得好像
很有名，
对，就是有那个地位、社会地位在的那种感觉。然后在英国的话，就比较倾向于就是先念自己喜欢的科系。当然也不是全部的父母，其实都有找到，就是每个文化底下都会有，就像光谱不同值这样。那黑小他的就是父母就是属于比较偏向控制，就是介入比较多的那一种类型。但大家都各个文化之中都会有这样。那一直有什么想法呢？
我刚刚就是在想的是，其实也许这是文化的因素吧。我觉得对于到底有没有试错的机会这件事情是容不容许的，好像相对来说，可能在台湾社会下比较难。就是父母会觉得你做了我们人生最大的第一个选择就是做大学科系的这个选择，然后他们就会觉得你做了选择，那你未来就要一定要做一个类似的或是相关的工作，
就要赢在起跑点。
对，然后你就是要一直延续下去。可是他们会把就是你转换跑道，或是你觉得这件事情不适合你的这件事情，就觉得好像就是不可容忍，有点那种感觉吧。但其实有时候我觉得，就是人生还这么长的，我们应该要给自己更多的机会去尝试。你要说是说试错，好像也不是说试错，因为其实那个本身就像我们刚才对话里面有提到，你今天做这个经验这件事情，这个兴趣，或是你从小可能有经历过才艺这件事，无论是弹钢琴啊、跳舞、弹吉他什么的，它也许不会是你的毕生志业的一个很主要的选择，可是它也许会变成是结合你的专业，然后成为辅助的一个东西。然后所以我觉得。也不是要用试错的机会来去看这件事情，应该要说就是让自己有更多的机会去探索自己到底真正想要的东西是什么。对，那我觉得这个也很难，是可能就是要跟上一辈的人沟通，然后这个文化环境是需要去改变的。
因为刚有提到一个，他也一直很强调是要有那个勇气去做这件事情，或许可能。我们的父母的态度是想要保护，就是想要让你走在一条，我确保你这条路绝对是完美的、对的选择，所以反而会阻挡了我们鼓起勇气去尝试错误的，或者尝试其他不同路线的可能。所以我觉得他的提醒对我来说也是一个很大的提醒。
那我们这一集就差不多到这边。那今天也算是我们一个特别集啦，就是衔接在第2季跟第3季之间。
听力大挑战，对。听力
大挑战。而且这真的是一个很大的门槛。发现刚才那一集里面就是都没有力宇的声音，也没有我的声音。
我跟你说，我这一集听可能没有办法转1.5倍速，我可能要转0.5倍速。
真的，对啊。那我们要在这个环节介绍一下我们今天还有另外一个来宾吗？恩宇。
那同学是我们的忠实听众，加上这一次的
那个经纪人啊，带2位经纪人，梅河的，帮我们接待2位那个外籍嘉宾来跟我们录音这样，然后所以
要请他就是自我介绍一下。
有需要吗？
我觉得我们以后未来有机会可以邀请恩宇来聊。
对啊，以后
可以。没有，我其实只想要听他讲英文而已，没有其他的理由。
因为我觉得刚刚的那个对话，其实我觉得我们可以有机会可以聊一个，就是那个学科转换这件事情。
对，学科转换大师，而且还没有转衔课程，
我还没有办法。
还没有转衔课程可以念的，
好好笑，
必须跟大学部一起修课的。
而且现在瞪我们，他说不要再 cue 我了，
不要搞我，
你刚刚录完音我要吃饭。好啦，我们
那我们就这一集特别集会衔接在我们第2季跟第3季之间。那第3季我们内容上有想要做一些改变，那会需要一点时间做准备，那可能会在6月份再跟大家更新，对，再跟大家见面。那会带来一些跟一些比较实质性的议题上面的讨论，然后或者找实务工作者一起去讨论一些比较实务面向的议题，这样子。
没错。
那我们就下次见，
拜
拜。